NBC interview, the president said he rejected the findings of the after-action report about the...
But I do not understand why he would not manifest that care into taking this investigation more seriously, contemplating the obvious failures of his administration, that ending the war in Afghanistan was the right decision. But that's not the question at hand. It's not whether, but how the war ended.
Essentially in denial of this situation. Does any of that ring true to you?
No. No. That's not what I was told.
No part of these military interviews ring true because that's not what I was told? If this was not what you were told, then what was? And don't you have an obligation, sir, to be told? Isn't that how you demonstrate how much you care? Otherwise, isn't it just words?
What the president was rejecting is the notion that there weren't a range of preparations done in advance. He came into office without any plan. Well, there was a deadline, but without any plan for departure or for helping the Afghans who had served by our side for 20 years. We put in place, and this is in these same documents, beginning last spring, a range of contingency plans should we need to bring American citizens out.
It's difficult to overstate how insulting Biden's sweeping rejection is to so many service members and veterans, given the full content of the 2,000 pages of documents in this U.S. Army investigation, which CNN has also obtained. Many accounts are from troops who were on the ground at the gates near the canal around the airport. Non-commissioned officers, junior officers, Joes, people with little political motivation to lie, and heavy legal and moral obligation to tell the truth in sworn statements.
To the point about the report you just mentioned, the president and I sitting here today do reject the reports in the Washington Post that the White House or the NSC sought to slow down the evacuation.
This was
the
a FOIA
opposite is
version
true.
of an
From
Army
the president,
report.
as soon as, the minute our military leaders and diplomats recommended to the president that he do so, literally that minute, he ordered the evacuation.
And there was no way we were ever going to unite Ukraine. I mean, excuse me, Iraq, Afghanistan. No way that was going to happen.
Are you rejecting the conclusions or the accounts that are in this Army report?
Yes, I am.
So they're not true?
I'm rejecting them.
Who is more empathetic than Joe Biden, who has a bigger vision, more knowledge, more strategic thinking about all this?
How do you think the inflation will affect Democrats in the mid?
I don't know on the political. People should quit worrying about the politics. You know, the worst thing can happen is you lose. Do the right thing for the American people. Be an American. Don't worry about being a Democrat or Republican. Be an American. Do our jobs that we swore an oath to.
It's important to note this about the BBB. The BBB is a deficit reduction bill. It's a bill that, and some people say when you increase the national debt, you increase inflation.
What can Congress do right now to bring those costs down?
Well, let me just talk about the inflation thing, because people are saying, well, what we're spending is causing inflation. The fact that people have jobs always contributes to an increase in inflation, and that's a good thing. But inflation is not a good, we have to contain it.
Wages are not keeping up with prices.
That's right.
There was a correlation that we believe between remote learning and the rise in carjacking. Look,
OPEC is not ramping up increases to the desires of the U.S. What is the plan to control gas prices? This is something that's hitting people every single day.
Make that happen.
Well, OPEC says they're going to stick at 400,000 barrels a day. They're not ramping up in the way that you're asking them to. So you may be approaching them, but they're not responding as quickly as you'd like.
So let's talk about what we can do. So oil-consuming countries have strategic reserves.
I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. Everybody.
To fire anyone who treats colleagues with disrespect on the spot.
Respectful work environment incredibly seriously. And it's
again, the president at the outset of this administration said, I will fire you on the spot, no ifs, ands, or buts. So why is he not being fired?
This is not acceptable behavior. Dr. Lander is expected to comply, and he will be monitored for compliance.
It doesn't sound like a zero tolerance policy.
President Biden said he would fire anyone that treated other colleagues with disrespect, talked down to someone,
and he would fire them on the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts.
It is because of those comments that he made early on, in part, that we put in place a safe and respectful workplace policy.
Those weren't comments, those were a promise.
Absolutely, that's why we put in place a policy.
To fire people that did this, and he hasn't fired. The individual the White House found violated what he said. Our employees shouldn't expect that people will be fired if they treat colleagues with disrespect.
Again, I think I've outlined very clearly what the process was. Go ahead.
The CDC calls the shots here. It's not like he measures trade-offs, the economy, mental health, people's behavior.
Listen to the data, listen to the science.
Determine is, what does listen mean? Does it mean that the CDC calls the shots here, or as these governors have done, does the president take into account the trade-offs?
Did you disclose to this committee that agreement?
I did. So, Senator, let me just explain first, because there was a case narrowing agreement.
Did you disclose the agreement to this committee?
I did. I said the matter was settled.
No. Okay.
Let me explain.
Hold on a second. The matter was settled doesn't answer. Did you disclose the secret settlement agreement that settled it for $700,000, not the $32 million that was public? Did you disclose it to this committee? Yes or no?
I did. I did when
you disclosed the $700,000 secret settlement.
No, because I was not allowed.
Strikingly, 56% of respondents in our poll who disapprove of Biden's job say he has made zero moves that they approve of. Zero. Not on coronavirus, not on the economy, not even on getting a cat. Do you think President Biden is doing everything he can to reach these voters?
Listen, Jake, we're in the doldrums at this point, and I think it really all relates back to that inflation situation.
Are you an activist, yes or no?
I'm an advocate.
An advocate, okay. So tell me, what is the difference between the two terms, advocate and activist?
You know, activist, I'm not sure there is that much of a difference. I mean, I choose. I mean, you know, people treat the word activist as if it's something bad. I don't think it's bad, but I don't consider myself a public activist. I consider myself a public advocate.
Okay. So as your term you used earlier, it's a distinction without a difference.